Hello, I'm Danny the Plumber, and today I'm going to be running some CSST, also known as corrugated stainless steel tubing, which is basically a flexible gas line. It's much easier to run than the rigid stuff. So today what we have going on is a range that was electric right in there, 220. My customer hated it. She said get rid of it and give me gas. So what we did is we changed it over to something like that. We've got a shutoff valve right there, and we ran it all in CSST. So let's get started. Okay, so just a quick overview of what's going on. Here they had the range with the 220, and my customer just really does not like cooking with the 220 electric, especially on the stove top. I agree, it's much better with the gas. There's the old electric range that we're getting rid of. That was just in that spot right there. Okay, and so we're just going to be running a new gas line, and I'll show you where that's coming from. Over in this area, there actually used to be, before the remodel, there used to be a range that was fed by gas there, and they kind of just capped it off. And so I'm putting in that ball valve right there for two reasons. One, obviously, so I don't have gas coming out on me and I don't have to shut off the whole unit. And number two, I can test that later, and I'll show you what I mean by that towards the end of the video. So basically, we're just going to be running our gas line in the ceilings and the walls, and later we'll strap it nicely, and then we'll just pop out down below that area and to our new location over here. Okay, so today I'm going to be using 1/2-inch tubing, and the way we buy it is in rolls. I think they have 50 foot or 25 foot, 50 foot, 100 foot, and so on. I'm going to be running about 30 feet, so I bought, of course, the 50 foot, and I'll have a little extra. And it just comes in a roll like that, and the outer part is just a rubber material with the stainless steel in the middle. This is called a snap fitting or a transition fitting. These things work really well. So half of this goes into your elbow or T or whatever female iron pipe fitting you have, coupling, whatever. That'll screw right in. Excuse the camera, I'm using one hand here, it's a little hard. It'll screw into your iron pipe fitting, just like that. And the other end, the corrugated stainless steel tubing will be just pushed right into it, and at that point you'll screw it tight and it will come together, and there's a couple little rings in there which are really nice. Other companies have two C rings, they're called, or split rings. This is just one in the middle there, and it doesn't really fall out. I don't know if you can see it, just right there, just a real thin ring, circle. And so that'll grip onto the CSST piping. Okay, so here is a stub out, or a termination flange, they're also called, and that'll just go onto the wall and accept on one end my CSST, and on the other end I'm going to put my shutoff. Okay, so the way you're supposed to cut the tubing is just with tubing cutters, like your regular tubing cutters for copper and stuff like that. Except, unlike copper, we go only in one direction while we're cutting, like that. Okay, so once you've got that cut in, and it's very important to cut it within the groove. So there's a groove in there, and you have to cut it in with the tubing cutter. So once you do that, we want to count back 3 valleys deep, 3 valleys back on the CSST, and we're going to cut it with a utility knife like this, and I'm just cutting the rubber off of it right now. So 3 ridges or 3 valleys back on the tubing, and you'll be able to see that a little bit better, like when I get this off right here. So you can see 1, 2, 3 ridges I've got right there, and I'm going to peel back that rubber outer coating just like this. Okay, so this was the old gas location. I added the ball valve so I can test the line later, and I'll show you what I mean by that later on. It used to pop out right in that hole. It was just a cap. I added that ball valve, as I said, and now I'm going to put the snap fitting inside this elbow here with Teflon, of course, Teflon paste, and then after that, the track pipe is just going to simply go in there, and then I'll tighten that up. So I'm going to show you how that's all done. Alright, so I'm simply just installing the snap fitting with the Teflon paste into place. I've got a backup on that elbow so I don't twist the whole thing around. Once I've got my snap fitting in place, I like to come around and work from two different directions. So I just want to see where I'm going to end. So I'm going to put my stub out flange right here in place, and I'm drilling it on that side right into the stud. And then I'll follow it up later with some more screws on just into the drywall on that side. Okay, so once again, we're just going to take this track pipe, pull it on out, and I like to just get it all out on the floor. Just as easier to try and push it through rather than while it's on in a roll. So we just kind of got it laid out on the floor, me and my assistant here, and we have the cap end on one end of it, the end we're pushing up through the wall and ceiling. Now this is so much faster than threading pipe. You know, I spent a lot of years threading pipe with a pipe threader, and it just takes so much time just to even set the machine up and everything, and to thread every little tiny piece that you've got to make special size for. This is so much quicker. As you can see, we're just kind of pulling it, and he's got one end. I'll go get another end and push it and pull it and kind of work its way all the way through, snaking it through the ceiling and the walls here. Alright, now once we got it through, I'm going to do the same thing I did earlier. I'm going to cut it with my tubing cutter, find those 3 ridges, count them back, put a little mark there, and I'm going to cut in the valley part of it. I didn't know if I mentioned that, but cut on the 3rd valley. Go around with that rubber and just cut that thing off so we can get prepared to install our snap fitting at the stub out flange, and then we can push our CSST right into the snap fitting. So I'm applying some Teflon paste here, getting ready to install that little, actually I have to install before the snap fitting the coupling, I forgot to mention, because it needs to be the female iron pipe part of it goes into the snap fitting. So just a regular coupling, galvanized coupling there first, and then the snap fitting will get nice and tight on both of those, and we will get ready to install that CSST into that brass snap fitting. I like to back everything up, meaning apply equal pressure when we're wrenching on things like that, just so that things don't move inside the walls, or you can really mess some other pipe up if you don't do that. So that's what we were doing over there. All right, so now I'm going to take the top part off of that snap fitting and just kind of clean out a little bit, just in case any dust was in there, and we can reinstall it. And I'm going to slide that thing with that brass nut back in place, down as far as we can go. Once that's in place, apply a little pressure downwards with my left hand, and that's what I'm doing there, and then just get that thing snug tight with your open-ended adjustable wrench. And they do sell those snap fittings in female. I just had a bunch left over from another job, so I just used what I had left because they're kind of expensive. They're about $10 a piece or something like that. There's all sorts of kinds, and different companies call them different things, snap fittings or just adapters or I don't know, all sorts of different names depending on the company that's making it. But essentially, all it is a transition fitting that goes from your rigid connection, whatever it may be, to the corrugated stainless steel connection. Okay, so now I'm just going to clean up my stub out a little bit and put on some Teflon paste, because the next step that we're going to do before we just put our shutoff on is test the line. And so I'm going to pump some air into the whole gas line, and of course I have to shut off that ball valve that I showed you earlier in the video first. So we're going to shut that off, put that in the off position, get a test gauge like that, and we're going to pump it up 10 psi for a minimum of 15 minutes is the code, but I'm going to go a bit longer. I always like to go longer. Why not? And so that's what we're going to do. You can pump it up with a bicycle pump, and that's all we're doing today because it's a short line, or a compressor. But we've got such a short distance. I just brought my bicycle pump today, and we're going to pump it up to 10 psi and let that sit there for a little bit and make sure we have no leaks in our new line. If it drops even a fraction of 1 pound, what we're going to do is test the whole line with a soapy water solution at every joint. Okay, we tested our line for about an hour and there were no leaks. So now we just strapped our corrugated stainless steel tubing everywhere we could. Alright, now we're ready to put our shutoff valve in with an elbow and just a small nipple there. And we're just getting ready to finalize this project here with that shutoff valve in place. We can get our ball valve on, and they'll be ready to hook up their new gas range. Okay, boom, right there, turning the gas on. The whole thing is live. Gas going through all of the new CSST up into the shutoff valve here. Alright, so I just am going to flush a little air out of the line there and turn it off. And there you have it. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please enjoy this sunset in Del Mar, California. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Giving it a thumbs up really helps me out with the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. And please subscribe.